In a remote village on the edge of an ancient forest, an old legend had been passed down through generations. The legend spoke of the Black Cat, a mysterious creature that relentlessly pursued anyone who dared approach the forest on dark nights. Some said it was the guardian of the forest, while others believed it was a tortured spirit seeking revenge. But what everyone agreed upon was that whoever saw the Black Cat would never return the same. There was a man named Sammer who lived in that village. He led a quiet, solitary life, but was always fascinated by the legends and myths surrounding the forest. He had heard the warnings, but never believed them. How could a simple cat be the source of such terror? He thought the villagers had exaggerated their stories and decided one day to confront this fear that gripped their hearts. One dark night, when the moon was full and the sky was starless, Sammer made up his mind to enter the forest. He carried with him an old lantern and a few tools, determined to uncover the truth behind the legend. As he took his first steps into the dense woods, the darkness deepened and the weight in his chest grew heavier. The wind howled through the leaves, and the rustling sounded like whispers urging him to turn back. But he ignored those warnings and pressed on. After a few minutes of walking, he began to hear strange sounds, the creaking of footsteps that didn't seem to be his own. He stopped and looked around, but all he saw were the shadows of trees and their twisted branches. Then, suddenly, a small black figure appeared before him. It was a cat, but its appearance was anything but ordinary. Its eyes gleamed a sharp yellow, cutting through the darkness like knives, as if it could read his thoughts. The cat stared at him without moving, and Sammer found himself locked in its gaze. He felt something strange stir inside him, as if the cat was invading his mind and trying to manipulate his thoughts. In a fleeting moment, the black cat leaped and disappeared among the trees, leaving Sammer in a state of confusion. He wasn't sure what had just happened, but something within him had shifted. He tried to find his way back to the village, but soon realized he was lost in the forest. It was as if the trees had changed, and the path he had come from had vanished. As he searched for a way out, strange sounds grew louder, whispers and muffled laughter. The sounds drew nearer, and he saw quick movements in the shadows. Then the black cat appeared again, but this time it wasn't alone. Dark figures began to close in on him, dancing between the trees like ghosts. Sammer tried to run, but his body refused to move. It was as if he were bound by an invisible force. The ground beneath his feet started to tremble, as though the forest itself was waking up. Suddenly, Sammer collapsed to the ground, surrounded by the black creatures. He felt invisible hands gripping his body, pulling him into a sea of darkness. The only sound he could hear was the voice of the black cat, whispering in his ear in a strange, eerie tone. "You will never leave the forest." As time passed, the villagers noticed that Sammer had disappeared and never returned. They decided to send a group of brave men to search for him. They entered the forest, but all they found was his broken lantern and strange marks on the ground, resembling the scratches of cat claws. From that day on, the legend of the Black Cat grew even more terrifying. They say Sammer's spirit now roams the forest, having become one of the dark creatures that haunt the shadows, searching for new prey. And still, the Black Cat watches from between the trees, waiting for the next adventurer to fall into its eternal trap.